Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host. My name is Stunning Steve Barber. And joining me, as always, is my absolutely fantastic, awesome co-host, the intellectual rock star himself, Delicious Dwaylon Davis.
Hey, everybody.
And as we promised, we are going to do a preview of Survivor Series 2023. They're also calling it the War Games, which might as well. I mean, there's two War Games matches.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to give our predictions and our opinions on what we think will happen and what we think should happen. And then, unlike WWE, hopefully, the next time we record, we'll actually kind of go over,
Yeah.
what happened
Exactly.
to see if we were right. WWE, they just make the predictions on the pre-show and then they never mention it again.
Yeah.
So I tell them, hey, do better.
Exactly.
So, because I'm pretty sure you're all batting like not even 1,000. Yeah, but not even
probably.
close. And you actually know what's going to happen a lot of times. We don't.
Right.
Not officially anyway. But but first I kind of want to talk about, this past Friday, because I had mentioned it on the last time we recorded that I was going to be going to Georgetown, Ohio, which is, a little town. It's actually the county seat of the county I live in, Brown County, Ohio. Georgetown is also where Ulysses S. Grant grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of a famous town-ish, I guess, famous-ish town. But yeah, he actually grew up in Georgetown, and they were having a wrestling event put on by Spot Monkey Promotions, and it was helping raise money for the athletic department for the Georgetown High School, and I think specifically for their baseball team. I had that mentioned a few times. There was also a tattoo place out of Mount Orb who was also doing some fundraisers as well. So that leads me into discussion. Yeah, I might be getting a tattoo soon. I don't know. But
There you
hey,
go.
you know what? 50 years old, it wouldn't be the oldest that anybody's been, because one guy told me he just gave his mom her first tattoo when she's 60.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, okay. So that might be coming soon, details later if when it happens. But the show itself, when I first walked in, I actually went in a little late. It started at like 7. I didn't get there until like 10 after 7. And I noticed the place was loud. It was packed and it was loud. And we're talking, like, you ever go back and like watch some of the old Mid Atlantic stuff on the network?
Mm-hmm.
You hear how those screams are just,
Yeah.
that's what it sounded like.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the crowd was definitely into it. I saw some familiar faces. It's some of the same folks that go to NWF events,
Mm-hmm.
and partly because there was, well, quite a few people wrestling were also wrestle for the NWF.
Right.
One of them being the person whose shirt I'm wearing tonight,
There you go.
the veteran, Jack Vaughn. If you notice at the bottom of the shirt, it says thigh slap. Those on YouTube, you can see that. If you're not on YouTube, well, go get us on YouTube. But we're also happy to have you on an audio platform. And I'll be talking about that here in a second as well. But yeah, Jack Vaughn, I mean, it's first, he actually had a Triple X shirt. Also happy because a lot of times I'll ask him, people, do you have a Triple X shirt? And he said, I sure do. Boom. And right there,
You're
so I
like,
was like,
yes,
because I wanted this one because it had the thigh slap. If you don't know what the thigh slap, what that's about, go find him on TikTok, because his channel, he's became known as like the indie guy, the thigh slap
Mm-hmm.
guy, just because he calls himself the veteran. And there's reason for it. He's very, very good in the ring, and he is very old school, but he's not a fan of the super kicks and the thigh slaps, and so he makes more fun of the thigh slaps than anything else. And if you watch his videos, you can't help but laugh at him.
Right.
But he makes some very, very valid points. Trying to get him on the show, but he and I did talk a little bit as to why it's hard for him to come on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of his schedule is just packed, and he gets like hardly any time to think. So I mean, he hasn't been doing any kind of. I've always known about him doing one podcast, and that was the Dad World Order, and that was months ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I mean, he wrestles up in this area. He also wrestles OVW. If you watch the documentary Wrestlers,
Mm-hmm.
he's actually on that. Now at one point he's checking something on his phone whenever they happen to have the cameras
Yeah.
on him.
Yeah.
But he is in it. Um, but also Riley Matthews. She was there and had a great match against another wrestler named Nurse Mika. I'd never seen Nurse Mika before. She was really good. And she and Riley had a lot of good chain. I even talked to Riley after this, and I told her how much I liked the match because they were doing a lot of the moves, the counter moves, everything, where,
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like one of the good scientific matches that you'd see where all of a sudden Riley's going for a backslide. All of a sudden they had she's got her in a roll up, got her in the sunset flip, and they're countering each other. I mean, it was some good action in the ring.
Right.
And, and I actually, I, when Kenny Cummings, a friend of the show, Kenny Cummings, we need to have him on sometime too.
Yeah.
But, because that dude is like everywhere. But he actually posted, a little birdie told me that they put on a great match, and I had to reply, and I said, "Yeah, I was there." I said they put on a banger of a match. I said it was great, and Riley, she appreciated what I'd said, but I'd also told her, I said, "Riley, we've been talking about you on the show." She's like, "What you been saying about me?" I was like, "Nothing bad." I said, "I mean, I can honestly say I've been following your career since the very beginning, her very first match, and." Riley, she does absolutely fantastic in the ring. She's such a good person too. She's been on the show a couple times. The fact we were, her very first interview. Unfortunately, you missed that one because you had just came on as co-host, and so your schedule was still kind of wonky at the time. So,
Yeah.
But it was, her interview then was like 15 minutes long. The second time she came on, it was like an hour and 15 minutes long. I mean, it was a lot longer. And that is still I just looked on YouTube yesterday and just to see which videos have like the most views. And her interview then is number 4, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right because I looked the other day too.
Yep. Big Mama, one of her interviews is the highest one. And then the next is Buff Bagwell. And then it's not, what, I'll have to go look again because I was actually kind of surprised. I've been kind of surprised a little bit about some of the views I'm getting, and then some of our videos have like 8 views, and I'm just like, really, I don't get it, but it happens. Let me see. Let's see how this stacks up. Okay, Big Mama, Buff Bagwell, then Riley. Riley's is actually number 3rd. Number 3rd. Number 3. And then after that, of course, is Larry Zabesco, and his are getting more views by the day. So, and then after that, it's actually Ella. So we could tell. I mean, the ones who they actually have their core group of fans who really support them, and that's cool. Speaking of Big Mama, I literally just watched her like an hour ago on the NWA Power Show on YouTube. She made her NWA debut, and the fans were all behind her. So you could hear them chanting, Big Mama, Big Mama. So they enjoyed her match. It was a good match. Unfortunately, she ate the pin, but it's still a good match, and glad to see, she's actually you're getting even more exposure because I mean she's got a pretty well-known name, amongst like within wrestling. So I mean, and for good reasons. But mentioned the audio platform, and we got, we've always said if you give us a 5-star rating and a review, like an Apple Podcast, you can do it right there. If you give us a rating on one of the other ones where you can't give a review, but you still give us a rating, give us a screenshot, send an email. We'll also talk about it on the air. But we got another 5-star rating and a review. Just in the interest of privacy, because I actually know the person who did it. But they said stunning Steve and delicious Dwaylon on top. And so thank you for the person who did that, and we really appreciate it. And that helps us out. It helps us get more listens. It helps us with the algorithm. I don't know exactly how the algorithm works, but but that's what Ted always talks about is the algorithm.
Hmm.
And I'm talking about Ted the Hillbilly Hill, which, by the way, I had to send him a text earlier, and I told him I was wondering why I was not getting any kind of notifications whenever he put out a video on YouTube.
Hmm.
And I checked into it today. I'm like, why am I not getting anything? I wasn't subscribed.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like, so I told him, my bad. I said, I'm subscribed now, so I should be getting notifications. Because like, why am I not getting notifications whenever Ted puts out a video? Because he does a
Right.
video and audio, kind of like what we do.
Hmm.
Only he does the video first, then the audio comes out a couple days later. Right now, we're going audio followed by the video, which that might be changing here soon. We're
Yeah.
we're still working out some kinks about that, but maybe going live. That's actually the goal. It's not going to be till after Thanksgiving though, because this week Thanksgiving week is like a stupid busy week for everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So um, not even going to try it this week. Don't even want to brush on that, but I've been looking at how to do it. I've been watching some tutorials on different things on how to really get a channel going, using
Hmm.
StreamYard. Our friend Justin from TNC Sports Talk, he's been giving me some pointers. He's been helping me out and give me some tips. I'm like, hey, do this, this, this. All right, cool. So look for us to be going live here probably relatively soon.
Yeah.
And we're kind of talking about the night of the week that we're going to do it also. Um, haven't nailed it down yet, so don't want to say anything official yet. But
Right.
Dwaylon and I, we've been talking about it because well, that's what we do. So, but um, I knew there was something else. Oh, while I was at Georgetown for the second time, I got to meet Jimmy, Mouth of the South Heart. Last time though, he wasn't selling a megaphone, and those on YouTube can actually see it. No, I did not just go buy a pink megaphone and bring it to him to sign. He was actually selling these because
Hmm.
pink's not really my color. I did tell Riley I might let her borrow it because it matches all her ring gear.
Right.
Because pink is definitely Riley's color. I mean, that say bad. I mean, but if you look at it, actually, Jimmy Hart said, "What's your name, buddy?" And I told him, and he, it says Steve, Jimmy Hart, and I guess it's a date. I can't really tell. But then he did that with the black ink, and then with the white marker, he actually drew all those hearts.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
mean, yeah, those hearts did not come on the megaphone. I mean, he actually drew every single one of those.
Okay.
And he's like
That's
70,
awesome.
he's like 75, 76 years old doing that. Um, got to meet him again. Um, I did ask him if he does podcasts. He said no. So um, I'm guessing that he used to maybe once upon a time, but he said it's just too hard right now because he does make a lot of appearances now.
Yeah. Yeah, he does.
Yep. So, um, but nice guy, super nice guy. If you ever seen it, like if you ever watched The Legends House, of course,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, he was on that, and you could tell. I mean, he seemed like a pretty genuine, nice
Yeah.
guy. He wasn't getting any fights with anybody. Like like Hacksaw and Tony Atlas, they were ready to throw down. Even after the
Oh, yeah.
show, when they did a reunion, they were ready to throw down on that. Now apparently they're back friends again, which is good.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think everybody can hear me flapping my yap. So, um, so uh, go ahead and flap your yap for a little bit. That's what we do. uh,
Ah, so we're going to discuss Survivor Series. You said Kyle had predictions, right?
yep. Kyle emailed me some prediction, or he texted me some prediction. He sent me some prediction. Doesn't matter how he sent them.
Right.
Email, text. Um, and as we go through each match, I'll tell what um he says for each one. By the way, Kyle was in a weightlifting competition this past weekend. I believe it was in Pennsylvania.
I saw something about that on Facebook.
Ooh, once again, Kyle's putting up numbers that I know numbers go to infinity. The amount of numbers he puts up in weight, that he pushes
Yeah.
up, is trying to push the into that.
Yeah.
Um, because I already seen the video that he had posted, and it was him benching, and I'm like,
Hmm.
yeah, that's a lot of weight. And I thought I saw how what he had said on there, but he verified it. He benched 525 pounds.
Oh wow.
Uh, yeah. That's why if you ever see Kyle, that's why his chest looks like a big barrel.
Hmm.
Because
Yep.
he can definitely put up some numbers, and we're very proud of him for being able to do that. We're um glad to see our friend is doing well with
Hmm.
that because he works extremely hard at it. And like I said, I mean, he gets to the point where he's like micro tuning or micro training his muscles,
Yeah.
because he gets extremely scientific with it. And he's tried to tell me about some of the things, and I just, I'm listening, going, uh huh. I caught part of that, but I mean, but he is extremely good. So, um, if you ever get a chance to see somebody put up 525 pounds, well, that's our bud Kyle. He can do that.
Hmm.
Not a lot of people can. And of course, when he did, I mean, and they have to have the spotters. You're not going to have like me spotting somebody with that. So you have to have other guys, in fact, sometimes multiple guys
Right.
spotting somebody with that kind of weight. Because one slip, one um elbow like moving wrong. I mean, and
Hmm.
I mean, they're so you have to be extremely finite when you're doing it, where you put your hands on the bar, and everything has to be absolutely perfect. One,
Yeah.
half an inch, quarter of an inch off, and next thing you know, you're off balance, and you have 525 pounds coming down on your chest, with other people having to get it off of you. So um, so once again, he's putting up weight. He could bench press me and Dwaylon together at the same time.
Hmm. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yep. But yeah, he gave me his predictions for Survivor Series, and as we go through each match, then I will throw his in as well. Um, throw his in as well. I'm having a lot of trouble speaking today. I must be thinking about that turkey and ham coming
I
up
was getting
on
ready to say the
Thursday.
same thing. You're you're already in turkey mode, so
Oh, I
like,
am. Um, and Friday is the NWF anniversary event, and
hmm
already thinking about that one because I'm going to be bringing some merch from House of Plastic, to actually sell at the event. So I'm kind of thinking about that because tomorrow I have to go pick up the merch.
right.
Oh, and wow, I'm sorry, I'm getting like game notifications because my daughter, where she goes to college, I have their basketball team with the notifications. Their
Hmm.
men's basketball team, they're not that good this year. Yeah, because they just lost to Hofstra, 85-76.
Who
Yeah,
is that?
yeah, exactly. Hofstra, they're a mid major. That's all I can tell you. But all right. So once again, I'm going to go by the order that is listed on Wikipedia. We have no idea what the order is actually going to be. Um, the first one, Gunther and the Miz for the Intercontinental Championship.
That's Gunther. They're
Yep.
not going to give the Miz. They okay. I will say they better not give. They better not say the Miz better not be the one to beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title. No, Gunther's retaining. Miz is just there until they build up another credible babyface challenger for Gunther.
Yeah, because the Miz is not a babyface. I mean,
No, he's not a
he
face. And they do this every time. It's like whenever there's a dominant heel champion and they haven't built up someone to challenge them, they'll pull the Miz out of mothballs and turn him face and then throw him out there. Then he's going to get beat and then he's going to go back to being a heel. So it's
even
like,
even Paul White's going. How many times are you going to turn that guy?
exactly. Paul White and Natalia are both like, how many times the Miz turning?
Yeah,
So it's like that one's for me. That's a no brainer. It's Gunther. He should win. He will win.
there you
That's
go.
my opinion.
Uh, and kind of interesting that you have the longest single reign,
Hmm.
and it's growing every day,
Yeah.
against the person who has the most cumulative days as
Yep.
Intercontinental Champion.
Yep.
So I
And
mean, just I think it'll be a good match.
he's one Intercontinental title away from tying Chris Jericho for the record of most reigns. Miz has 8 and Jericho has 9.
But see, I'm never impressed by that record.
See, I'm not either because here's the thing, like I've never been impressed by all these double digit title reigns. Like, and I know those aren't double digits, but you know, I've never been impressed that like Randy Orton's a 14-time world champion, or Triple H is a 14-time world champion, or John Cena is a 16-time world champion, because it's like the quality. How was the quality of those reigns? Like Flair is recognized he's 16, but there was about 5 title changes overseas that WCW and WWE did not acknowledge. So Flair's got at least 21, possibly 22 world title reigns. That's impressive because of the competition that he was wrestling at the time, and he was literally going defending it against in other promotions all around the world.
It was a
And
true world title.
it was a true world title, and the time it took him to win all those world titles. Like he won his first title in what, 73?
What world title? No, he
Yeah.
didn't win his first world title until like 81.
Was it 81?
Yeah,
I thought
because
he won one before that.
or maybe in 80. Now Flair, I mean, he just started wrestling in 73. Um,
Okay.
but I mean, he's if if you look at like every organization he was a part of,
Yeah.
as far as wrestling, he won every title there was to get.
Yeah. Yep.
Because yeah, Mid Atlantic area, he won the TV title, he won the Mid Atlantic title, he won the U.S. title, he won the tag team title. I mean,
Right.
and of course, um, of course, the world title. And but yeah, he didn't win his first because he beat Dusty for his first one.
Okay.
And then he lost it, and then he won it back. He lost it to Harley, and then he won it back from Harley, but then he lost it again, and that's when they had the Flair for the gold at the. At least I believe
Right.
that's when they had
Yeah.
the Flair. Yeah, so at the very first Starcade. Which, by the way, we're talking about Survivor Series. If we're going to talk November, we always got to stay. Starcade was the grandfather of them all, not Survivor Series. But
Yeah.
they had to move Survivor or Starcade to December because Vince McMahon pulling some dirty tricks. But
Right.
um,
Um, so even okay, so yeah, okay, 1981, he wins his first world title. He wins his last world title in 2000.
wow,
Yeah. So it took him 19 years to amass that, that record. The last couple of reigns, granted, Flair was not Flair. The last couple
no,
of reigns were just sad, to be honest. But, 19 years it took him to get 16 recognized world titles. You look at John Cena, who has had 16 world titles and did that in, I think, 14 years. No, not 14 years. He
I don't even.
debuted in 2002. He didn't win his first world title till 2005. So you're looking at 11 or 12 years, and Cena's got 16 world titles.
Yeah, because when was the last time Cena had it?
Last person he beat for the world title, he beat AJ Styles.
So that was 2016 ish, I
Yeah,
think.
he beat
Yeah.
he beat he beat AJ Styles at the Rumble, then defended it in Elimination Chamber because that's the one Bray Wyatt ended up winning when he became
Okay.
WWE champion. But yeah, so Cena got number 16 against AJ Styles in 2016, which means he got 16 world titles in 11 years. And you have to look at the quality of matches and the quality of opponents. At the beginning of his run as a world champion, he had credible challengers and quality matches and things like that. But that middle period when we were doing the Super Cena thing, no. He did not have credible challengers. He did not have good matches. It was predictable. Everybody knew John Cena was winning and retaining
Mm-hmm.
the title. And it just gets boring after a while. Same with Triple H, same with Randy Orton. I would rather a guy like Shawn Michaels, who's only had a world title 4 times, but
I
every
mean, it
one of
has only
those,
been 4 times, hasn't it?
yep, every one of those has meant something.
And yeah, and I was going to say also one of the differences about when Flair, was dominating the world title, at least in the 80s, maybe in the early 90s, when Flair lost the title, he
Hmm.
usually had it back 3, 4 weeks later.
Yeah.
Unlike later on, like with Cena's, and
Hmm.
Cena, when he was, winning at the world title, about once every 3 months or so on average.
Yeah.
Um,
And like with Flair looked better. I mean,
mhm.
who would have ever thought when we were growing up watching Ronnie Garvin that he would one day be the NWA World Heavyweight Champion? I never saw that coming. But made Ronnie Garvin look like, and Ronnie Garvin was good. He
Yeah.
was an excellent pro wrestler. I just never saw him as a world champion. And Flair was able to make him look like a god killer. That, Ronnie Garvin was able to come in and beat the unbeatable horseman, Ric Flair. And he just made everybody better. And he put people over that other champions either weren't willing to do or weren't able to do, did not have the talent to get these other people over. I
I mean,
mean,
I think it was Flair's idea, wasn't it? To put
yeah,
Garvin over. Yeah.
yep. It was Flair's idea to put Garvin over. He had a world title feud with Michael Hayes. He had a world title feud with Ricky Morton of the
He
Rock and Roll
did.
Express. I mean, and he got everybody over, and he made it to where everybody that he wrestled believed that there was a possibility that that was the night Flair was going to lose.
Yeah, I remember thinking that like almost every time I watched Flair wrestle, I was like, "Oh my God, he's about to lose his title." Never mind.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, never mind. But
Never
it's
mind.
like, but the suspense was there. It wasn't predictable. And if he lost it, then it wasn't a matter of, and I know a lot of it goes down to booking, but it wasn't a Kofi Kingston instance where I get beat for the world title in 9 seconds. I never even pursue a rematch. I just go right back to the tag division, just smiling and clapping with the crowd and like I wasn't world champion for 6 months. And with Flair, Flair was obsessed. It's like if he lost the title, that was his only focus
Yep.
was getting it back. And but I prefer smaller title reigns. Like I like Roman's title reign. I would rather have a single reign that is long than have multiple reigns where the title's getting hot shotted every 3, 4 weeks.
And this is when you compare it to something like boxing, where there's not a boxing season, there's not a wrestling
Mm-mm.
season.
Nope.
So boxing, you hold the title until either you get beat or you give it up. Or
Or
UFC is
yeah,
another one.
yep.
UFC is another one. Same thing. You hold the title until you no
You get
longer have the title.
exactly. You get beat or relinquish the title.
And you don't see, boxing in UFC or MMA or any other kind of combat sport where they say, well, that person, they've held the title, 17 times. And people look
Yeah,
at you like, really? He's lost that many matches?
exactly. Because that's what people don't get. It's like, yeah, so and so's 14, 15-time world champion, which means he's lost it that many times.
Yep.
So it's like it doesn't make it that important. Like Steve Austin was a 6-time world champion during the Attitude Era. Some of those were hot shotted, but still, 6 is a lot better and a lot more manageable and entertaining than 14.
Yep. Oh, by the way, I like what Kyle says about this match, Gunther and The Miz. He said, Gunther destroys The Miz in awesome fashion.
There you go. I like that.
Yep.
Yep.
I have a feeling that Miz, his chest might be caved in by the time the match is over with.
Yep. He's going
Um,
to take a power bomb, and that's it.
because Gunther, I mean, he comes at you like a steamroller.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you can't stand there like the dude in Austin Powers going, no, because he's just gonna run you over.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so everybody agrees Gunther should, Gunther will,
Mm-hmm.
in awesome fashion. You guys say awesome. Next one is mentioned is Rhea Ripley defending the Women's World Championship against Zoe Stark.
It's Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Zoe Stark. I think it's going to be an excellent match because I'm a big fan of Zoe Stark, and I think she is a future world champion, but not Saturday.
Not Saturday. Nope.
It is not time to take that title off Rhea Ripley yet, and Zoe Stark is not ready to step into that role yet. She's been doing excellent so far.
She has earned a
Yeah,
shot. Absolutely.
she earned a shot, but she's not ready to be the women's world champion just yet. She's still got some growing to do to get to that point. If she stays on the path that she's on, I think she'll get there. And I've seen people on Twitter complain that, oh, well, she doesn't have any personality and blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing. I don't care about it.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things, if you can't get between the ropes and wrestle a match that's going to entertain me, then I don't care that you're this wizard on the microphone or that you have all this charisma. Because once you get in the ring, if you don't have the talent to have a good match, then I'm not going to watch it.
Right.
I'm just not. And, I understand the controversy with Chris Benoit, but separating the man from the act. Chris Benoit was one of my favorite wrestlers for a long time. Chris Benoit did not have that personality. He didn't have that charisma. He didn't have mic skills. But he was one of the greatest technical wrestlers I've ever seen. And I enjoyed every match that I've ever seen him in because I enjoyed the match. I didn't care that he couldn't talk, that he wasn't a great talker. I didn't care that he wasn't electrifying like The Rock. But he could wrestle circles around the majority of the people he got in the ring with. And that's the part that I liked.
I was actually going to make the comparison to Ricky Steamboat.
Ricky Steamboat's the same.
Yeah.
Ricky Steamboat was not a strong talker on the mic.
I mean, he wasn't horrible.
He wasn't terrible. Yeah, he wasn't terrible, but he was not. I mean, he was no Flair.
Right.
He was no Dusty. He was no Arn or Tully.
But you get him in the ring.
You get him in the ring, and it's amazing. And I mean, he really didn't have that overwhelming charisma either. He was just the lovable babyface. He was the white meat babyface that never turned heel and always gave you a great match. And people respected what he did between the ropes more than people didn't worry about his mic skills or his charisma. They worried about, is Ricky Steamboat going to give me a top-notch match tonight? Yes, he was. Every night.
Every night. I don't think Ricky Steamboat had the capability of putting on a bad match.
No.
So,
but Rhea Ripley should win this. It's not time to take the title off of her. She is by far the biggest star in the women's division, and that's Raw and SmackDown. The Judgment Day stuff is still hot. She's obviously the leader of the Judgment Day, regardless of what Damian Priest said on Raw last week. Rhea Ripley's running that show, and she's just too good and too hot right now to take the title off of her.
And Judgment Day, we know he's about to be booted out anyway.
Oh, yeah.
We know that.
I mean, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. And so we both agree Rhea Ripley, Zoe Stark just isn't ready. And I keep wanting to say Starks.
Yeah,
I want to say throw an S on the internet. You know why? John Starks. That's why.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
um, yeah, because that's when basketball was in its golden age, and I don't think any era will ever top that.
No.
But anyway,
Mm-mm.
the run the time of the 1992 Dream Team for the Olympics,
Yeah.
where they did not call one timeout through the entire Olympics,
Hmm.
where Charles Barkley said, "I don't know who Angola is, but Angola's in trouble."
Yeah.
Anyway, and I don't even think John Starks is a part of the team, but John Starks, he could shoot the lights out. That's all I
Oh
remember.
yeah, he really could.
Oh, Kyle also agrees with us. He said Rhea Ripley wins.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
So I'm actually going to skip down to what they have the last match on here. I don't know why it's listed as the last one because we know this is not going to be the headliner match, but it's Carlito versus Santos Escobar.
It has to be Santos Escobar.
Yeah.
He just turned heel. Ray is out recovering from knee surgery, so he's going to feud with other members of the LWO. Carlito's first in line. He's going to make a statement,
Yep.
and Santos is going to. I'm not saying it's going to be a. It's not going to just be a squash, but I think Santos needs to make that statement in this match to solidify that heel turn. And I think he will win. I think he should win. Carlito at this point, he doesn't need the win.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's not,
But he's there
you
to put
know,
somebody over.
he's there to put somebody over. Yeah. He's veteran status now. He's
Mm-hmm.
there to put people over.
I think this will be a brutal match. I don't see a lot of scientific stuff happening because it's kind of a grudge match.
Yeah, they
So,
built it into a grudge match, and heel Santos Escobar will do anything to win. I've seen it in NXT. He will do absolutely anything to win. So yeah, it's going to be a fight.
and I might as well say second generation superstar Carlito. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
forgets about that because his dad was the youngster Carlos Colon.
Yeah, the youngster,
Maybe I was 4 years old, and
Gorilla,
Gorilla Monsoon
Gorilla
called him a
Monsoon.
youngster.
This youngster, it's
This
like,
youngster, what? That dude's got grandkids. You're calling him a
yeah,
youngster? but um, but yeah, Escobar definitely because I can't see the value in having Carlito win.
I can't either. It would kill Escobar's heel turn like dead in his tracks if his first big match after he turns heel is a loss. That would,
kill any momentum that they've been trying to.
yep. Hmm.
Well, it'll kill the momentum before it even really starts.
Yeah.
And no, because Santos Escobar, I mean, he's too good. Everything time I've seen him in the ring, I'm like, okay, he's good,
Oh yeah.
and he needs, he deserves a push.
Hmm.
Um, and looking and Kyle also says Santos Escobar should win. Um, and I have a feeling that's going to be that's not going to be the headliner match. Obviously, that's going to be the match before the final match.
Yeah. I
Because
think
there's
that'll
not
be,
there's not a lot riding on it. That's the reason I say that.
yeah. I think it's going to be a good match, but I also think it's going to be the cool down match or the palate cleanser in between the war games.
Yep. Um, and I'm actually going to talk about the women's War Games match first. And this is, let's see, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch versus Damage Control, consisting of Bailey, Asuka, Io Sky, and Kairi Sane. I thought Damage Control were 5 people now. Who am I missing here?
Because Dakota Kai's injured.
Dakota
She's
Kai.
not wrestling.
That's right. Duh, I forgot about that. My bad. First, I'm not subscribed to Ted's channel, and now this. But I am subscribed to it now, and I'm also subscribed to the Wrestling with the Truth, Wrestling with the 80s channel with our friend BC Hunter.
Yep.
Which, by the way, he just passed up 750 subscribers on his channel.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So, ABC, can you send some of those our way? We can really use them. But I'm glad because BC's such a good dude, and he has a
Yeah.
great show. Love listening to it, love watching it. But this right here, because Damage Control, they are really pushing them again. Because remember before, it looked like they were about to split up. They were really not setting anything on fire. Now all of a sudden, boom,
Well,
They're
is because it's like once Triple H was officially solidified as head of creative, then you saw that that uptick in the pushes in the women's division. Because when Vince was back in control, we know what Vince thought of women's wrestling.
yeah.
So yeah, Damage Control was a Triple H thing. Vince comes back in control. It's like, I don't like that. So I'm not going to put any focus on it and just let it flounder. And then Vince's idea of doing things is, oh, I don't like that. So instead of changing or tweaking things to improve it, I'm just going to let it flounder until it dies.
And he's done it in the past, and
Yeah, he's done it
so
multiple times in the past
yeah,
with different people, different gimmicks. It's like,
I don't
you
get it.
know, yeah, I don't
I
get it, so I'm not going to
don't
push it.
right. And we've also seen how Vince. We could tell what he thought about women's wrestling when they had the Queen's Crown was the tournament a few years ago,
Yeah.
and the cumulative time for all 10 matches, I think, or whatever it was for the
Hmm.
tournament, was like 15 minutes total.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you bother having to go in? Because them walking to the ring is going to take longer than what
Hmm.
their matches
Yep.
are. Uh, but this one, because it's a War Games match, so it's going to be inside the. Are they doing the double ring with the cage, or
Yep.
are they do? Okay,
Yep. Excuse me.
so you have the double ring with the cage, and we've seen some of these women in cages before, and they get nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The only woman that's been in every single War Games match since WWE started doing War Games is Io Sky. She's been in every one. She's been in every one in NXT and every one on the main roster.
and if anybody's wondering why I call Dwaylon the walking, talking wrestling encyclopedia, it's because it's trivia like this. I would have never known that. So we know it's going to be just brutal. We know there's going to be mist flying because Asuka's going to be in there.
Oh yeah.
Um, Bianca's going to hit somebody with her hair. Um, Charlotte's going to hit some kind of moonsault because she can. I mean,
Yeah.
regardless of what we feel about her winning titles, we know
Yeah.
Charlotte. I mean, she is a legit athlete. We know that.
Yeah.
Glad to see Shotzi mixing up in there, and of course Becky Lynch. Um, we know what she's capable of, so this ought to be a good, brutal match. But Damage Control, well, to be kind of throw a pun on words here, um, it would actually do more damage to them for them to lose because they're getting reestablished.
My thing is, as much as I want Damage Control to win and not Team Babyface, in my opinion, Damage Control needs to lose. And here's why. Because it's obvious they're pushing Bailey out. So here's what happens. Bailey takes the
Ah,
pin. Bailey takes the pin. That's the out. They turn on her in War Games. She's kicked out. And then you have Dakota Kai running the show of Damage Control because everybody knows Dakota Kai is pulling all the strings and just letting Bailey think that she's coming up with all these great ideas. I think that's what should happen is, like I said, as much as I want Damage Control to win, long-term booking, they need to lose, and Bailey needs to be the one that costs them the match, either by taking the pin or miscommunication and striking one of her teammates and causing them to get pinned, something along those lines. That way, they turn on her. She's kicked out of the group. She eventually becomes a face, starts chasing EO for the title, and puts EO over.
something I'm going to look up right now, just so I can verify the year. Um, because somebody who we just had on the show recently, Larry Zabisco, he was booted out of the Dangerous Alliance.
And the same thing happened because it was a
Mm-hmm.
miscommunication, and which caused one of his teammates to get beat. And then they turned on him because they're like, it's your fault we lost.
I'm looking, and had been, I guess, in 1991. Or no, 1992. It was the War Games in 1992.
Yep. Oh, which got 5 stars in the Wrestling Observer.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow, Meltzer liked it that much, huh? Um, which is actually saying something because, I mean, if it's not in Japan, Meltzer usually doesn't give it a 5-star rating.
Yeah, there's not a lot of matches in the US he gives 5-star ratings to.
Nope. But yeah, so I can see, like I said, Bailey being given, she's given the Zabisco treatment because,
Yep.
I mean, we've been seeing this for months anyway.
Oh yeah,
You
they've been
know,
building to this. It's like, but the final piece of the puzzle was when Kyrie Sane resigned
like, uh-huh.
because
That's what you gotta
because
say.
she yeah, because she had the relationship. She has a relationship with EO Sky. She has a relationship with Oscar. Her and Oscar are former WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. All three of them wrestled together in Japan. Dakota Kai has a relationship with all three women and speaks fluent Japan. It's fluid Japanese. Fluent Japan.
She speaks
Speaks
Japan, y'all.
she speaks fluent Japanese.
Really?
So yeah,
I did not
it,
know that.
because she's wrestled in Japan. So
Okay.
she speaks Japanese. And so that core makes perfect sense. And Bailey's the odd one out.
One of these things is not like the other.
Exactly.
Of course, that's the other thing is funny, kind of slightly off topic, is when I told somebody, it wasn't my wife, it was my wife's friends. It's like, yeah, Bailey, her real name is Pamela, Pamela
Mm-hmm.
Martinez,
Yeah.
or they call her Pam. Can't remember who it was, but she said, huh, she doesn't look like a Pam. I'm like, I have no
What
idea what a
is a
Pam looks like,
yeah, what does a Pam look like?
but apparently it's not Bailey.
but
So, actually, I
but
think
that's my
it may have been my wife's friend Carrie who came on the show.
okay.
I think she might have been the one who said that.
Yeah. But
Anyway,
that's my prediction is that Damage Control loses due to Bailey and whether she takes the pin or miscommunication, and then they boot her out, and the feud starts between Bailey and Damage Control, which leaves Bailey by herself because she's not going to have any baby faces to back her up because she's been such a terror in the
yeah,
women's
she is,
division for years. So she's just going to be an island unto herself.
and she can't come back with the Bailey buddies.
No, nobody
She
wants to see that now. No.
no, I mean, she took a pickaxe to them, so
Yeah.
um, I mean, and she did it like she broke that thing and was just ripping them apart.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, no, not the wacky waving arm inflatable tube, man.
What did
Uh,
Kyle? Who does Kyle think is going to win?
he said, and all of a sudden my phone started acting wonky. It just says damage control wins.
Okay.
So
And like I said, I think they need to win. I think they, you know, I think it would be great for them to win, but I think it would be better for them to lose
well, like I said, it has to
storyline.
be very specific where they have to lose because of Bailey, something she does,
Exactly.
and
Yeah,
then
it can't just be one of the faces pins one of Damage Control out of the blue or makes them submit and the match is over. It's got to be Bailey's fault they lost.
yep, because they can't go. All right, we just like, well, Bailey, you're out.
Well, yeah, well, you're
Get
gone.
out.
It's like no, and it's like I think Triple H. We know Triple H gets that, so I don't think there's just going to be some random loss.
Because in 1992 there was a wrestler, I believe, in WCW with the name. He was billed as being from France, but his name was Jean Paul Levesque,
Uh huh.
which
Yep.
we know now as Hunter Hearst
Triple H.
Helmsley, Triple
Yep.
H,
Yep.
whose real name is Paul Levesque.
Paul Levesque.
But the Jean Paul Levesque, he had the French accent.
Yeah.
I bet that man doesn't speak a word of French in his life. Nothing.
Probably not.
So,
No.
and I'm trying to, does, so you're saying team babyface because they don't have a name.
Yeah.
And Kyle's saying damage control. Hmm. I'm trying to. 'Cause this is really a flip of, because there's no disadvantage to either team when well, damage control. If they lose, like you said, then Bailey's out. But if they win, of course, I mean they're giving them a push. It could show them as unstoppable.
Exactly. And it's not going to hurt any of the faces, including Shotzi, because Shotzi's getting, you know, Shotzi's, in there with greatness. Regardless of what I think about Charlotte Flair's title reigns, you've got Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, you know, top of the food chain in the women's division. Well, under Rhea Ripley, but
Yeah.
and then on the other side, you've got Bailey, Grand Slam champion, Asuka, Grand Slam champion, you know, Io Sky, current women's champion, former NXT women's champion, won titles all over the world. Same with Kairi Sane, Dakota Kai, wrestled all over the world, won championships. Shotzi is in a great position to learn from all this talent. And she's a good talent on her own, but this is the kind of push that she's been needing. And it was smart to add her to this.
And Shotzi Blackheart, I just now looked. Her real first name is actually Ashley. Kind of like Charlotte
Mm-hmm.
Flair. Her real first name is also Ashley.
Yep.
Um, you know, I'll throw a twist in there. Damage control wins, but they kick Bailey out anyway.
I mean, it could happen,
Yeah,
but I think it makes more sense for
it
them
does.
to for her to cost them the match. Um,
It could be a case of she steals the pin.
Now, I didn't think about that. That is
Right.
true. She could
She's
steal the pin from someone, win the match, run around gloating like, I did it all, I did it all by myself and blah, 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 blah. And then she gets beat up and kicked out of the group.
and then next thing you know, she gets missed in the face.
Mm-hmm.
The nasty elbow drop that
Yeah.
Kairi Sane does.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if she doesn't have back problems, I'll be very surprised because I mean her
Yeah.
elbow drop. I mean it's devastating looking. But I
Oh,
mean if
yeah.
you look at how she lands, I mean she comes down like
Yep.
smack. And so we know that'll be a brutal match, but I'm pretty sure the men's War Games match. I mean this one will probably be even more brutal. Actually, I will give you Kyle's prediction because I like his prediction
Mm-hmm.
first. Of course, Randy Orton turns on the team to feud with Cody. Money in the Bank cash in to close the show. Ooh,
Ooh, I didn't think of that, but that would be good
ooh.
because then it's like Seth's vulnerable because he's in war games.
Mm-hmm.
He's been beat down. And, you know, even if Judgment Day loses, Damian Priest could still cash in and leave with the world title,
I
causing
mean,
more dissension in Judgment Day because he's already planted those seeds of dissension by saying he was the leader. Because you see the look on Finn Balor's face when he
mm-hmm.
said it, and it's like eventually his replacement's already there. JD McDonough is already in Judgment Day, so your spot's already taken, buddy. Time to go. And the same thing could happen that, like I was saying, in that I was fantasy booking for, the women's match. Judgment Day could lose and it'd be Damian Priest's fault.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the nail in the coffin for him as far as that goes, because I don't see the baby faces losing simply because it's Cody Rhodes' first time ever in a War Games match. The match his daddy
It
created.
bad to say exactly. His daddy invented this match.
Exactly. I don't think they're going to have Cody lose in the match that his daddy created. They've given Cody everything that he wanted and should have since he's come back. And that's part of it. That's part of, they keep talking about finish of the story. There's a big part of the story. My dad created this match that I'm finally getting to compete in. It doesn't make sense to have them lose because Judgment Day will still be fine if they lose because you've got that turn that's possible. Orton could still turn on Cody after they win. You know,
Yeah.
the old saying, "Gut never trust a snake."
Yeah. And
Or
he's the Viper.
exactly. It's like so that could happen.
Um, I am glad to see Randy Orton actually taking a lot more time off for the injury this time because I think
Hmm.
that's, because there's always, I've read the things that say, well, Randy Orton's injury prone. It's not that he's injury prone, it's just that he comes back too
He comes back,
soon.
and the thing is, because they need him to come back, and he
Right.
is a team player, because he has matured so much over the years that he is a team player, and is like, oh well, the company needs me, so let me come on back, even though I may not feel or be 100%.
And his style is intense. And so
Yeah, he takes the
that's how I hate he gets injured so much.
he's been landing flat on his back for 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
with the RKO and hitting it from every possible angle. There's only so many times you can land flat on your back like that on plywood and not have a messed up back.
Oh, not just plywood, but because I saw a video a couple hours ago when it said Randy Orton's best RKO's, and it may have been WWE who actually put the video out, but it
Mhm.
showed him doing it on the ring steps. The ring steps may have been inside the ring, but
Yep.
landing on ring steps, landing on the ring apron, which we know is the hardest part of the ring,
Yep.
landing on the announcer's table, landing on the padding outside, landing
Landing on
on
the announce table, and the announce table does not break.
and does not break.
Yeah.
Landing on car hoods. That was one of the
Yeah.
funnier ones.
Yeah. When he RKO'd Hogan on the
Yep.
car. Yeah. Yep.
And
RKOing people through tables.
through table. Yes, exactly. And so yeah, and he's done a lot of damage to his back and his shoulder too. He's got some kind of issue with it. I think he
Well,
hurt his shoulder at one time and it's just never really fully recovered.
he had it's something like he was born with a hyperextension in his shoulder.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's why he ended up like breaking his collarbone,
Hmm.
taking out the trash that time. He was taking the trash out when he was off at home,
Okay.
and just it rotated wrong and pop.
It didn't take much, you
Mm-mm.
know. But I just cannot believe the amount of humanity they're going to have in this ring. Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Randy Orton
And Jey
versus.
Uso looked very nervous that it's Randy Orton that's coming back.
I don't blame him.
Everybody else was, the rest of the team was psyched, and Jay's like, do you know who this guy is? Because we know what he's done in the past.
Yep. And Judgment Day, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, Dirty Dom, and JD McDonough, and Drew McIntyre.
And Drew McIntyre. And if
Um,
they miss this opportunity for Drew McIntyre to come out and with his old theme music, Broken Dreams, he's turned heel. That's a perfect theme for him now, is his old theme. They need to bring that back.
I need to go listen to it. I think I forgot what it's like. I mean, I've liked Drew McIntyre for a long time,
Yeah.
just because he's just brutal.
Yeah.
Not
And
the not
just
the geeky looking Drew McIntyre from
yeah, when
before,
he
but I'm
first yeah. But
yeah.
here's the thing too, he looks like a heel.
Mm-hmm.
Has the he has the build, he has the style, the look with the long hair and the beard and the
His
intensity.
his face always has a scowl on it, like,
Exactly.
even when he's a
Always has that
face.
sky. Yeah. And it's like he is so much better. He he's so much better suited as a heel than a face. And I'm glad they did that slow burn and then he finally turned. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to be the shot in the arm for his career that he needs.
Yeah.
Um, I I don't like that they announced Randy Orton early, like last night on Raw when they announced it, but I understand why. It makes sense because they're in Chicago, and if they waited until War Games to announce that it's Randy Orton, the Chicago crowd is going to be expecting CM Punk. So that crowd's going to lose their mind. They're going to riot, and it's going to ruin the main event because we know this is going to be the main event,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's going to ruin that because people are people are going to be more focused on the fact that it's not CM Punk than the fact is of Randy Orton's back. We have this awesome array of talent in this brutal match. So it was smart for them to announce it early. I also like the part though, they announced it, so now people are expecting it, but nobody's seen him yet. They're not going to see him until Saturday.
Oh, okay. Because I haven't even watched highlights from Raw last night.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they announced it, but he was not on the show. Cody announced it, that it was going to be Orton who was going to be their fifth guy, but he didn't come out. So you got to wait till Saturday, which that pop when his music hits is going to be amazing because he's been
oh,
gone a year and a half.
hmm. And so now, who do we think? Well, Judgment Day need to win this. I think Judgment Day will win this. However, I think Damian Priest is still going to be cashing in. I do like what Kyle said about that. Cash in, he wins the title. He's out of Judgment Day.
Yep.
But I can't see Drew McIntyre joining Judgment Day because
Well,
unless he's the leader, I can't see him
yeah,
being part of a Judgment Day. It doesn't make any
yeah,
sense.
yeah. He said on Raw that he wasn't joining Judgment Day, but he was standing with them on Sunday against Cody and the rest of the guys. And him and Rhea Ripley have made some deal. So,
Hmm. So Judgment Day right now consists of, let's see, a Puerto Rican dude, two Irishmen, Mexican American, and a Scotsman. That's a fun team.
yeah,
That's a really fun team right there. I like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Dom's Mexican American.
Yep.
JD and Finn are Irish. Um, Damien's Puerto Rican, and Rhea Ripley's Australian.
Yeah, she's Australian. Or
Yeah,
she Australian? No, yeah, she's Australian. Dakota
yeah,
Kai is from New Zealand.
yes,
Okay.
yep,
Um,
yeah. And then
well,
Drew McIntyre's from
Scottish.
Scotland.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's from the Ayrshire district, which apparently that's where my family's from.
Oh, okay.
The barber side. Yep. Where the barber apparently there was a lot of concentration of barbers
Mm-hmm.
in that area, and a barber didn't just mean hair cutter. I mean, it was like they did dentistry, they did a little bit of
Oh,
doctor
wow.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. Then eventually they just said, you know what, I just like hair. um, yeah, but see, then Cody Rhodes, Florida, Georgia, Seth Rollins, Iowa, Jey Uso, Florida, Georgia,
hmm
Sami Zayn, um, who's one of the most interesting ones because he's French Canadian Syrian.
Yep.
He speaks three different languages.
Then Orton's from St. Louis.
Orton's from St. Louis. I keep forgetting he's from St. Louis because I always want to say Kansas City for some reason. And
uh,
I don't know why, but I'm always thinking he's from Kansas City, but no, he's from St. Louis.
yep.
Um, that's why I think the matches when him and Baron Corbin, those were because Baron Corbin is from Kansas City.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those matches were pretty interesting.
But yeah, them announcing Orton early kind of squashes those CM Punk expectations.
They could have just went up there and said, "Look, we're not going to tell you who it is, but we're going to tell you who it ain't. It ain't
Yeah,
CM
yeah.
Punk."
But see, that Chicago crowd going in blind would ruin that show because they were expecting CM Punk. Everybody, as soon as people found out that Survivor Series was going to be in Chicago and CM Punk had gotten released from AEW, everybody's like, "Oh, he's coming back. He's going to show up at Chicago. He's going to be a surprise." Blah 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 blah. I'm not saying that it's not a possibility that he still couldn't be a surprise at the very end of the show,
Right.
but he ain't the surprise partner.
Not only that, but I think a lot of people, obviously outside of Chicago,
Yeah,
um, are tired of CM Punk.
yeah.
Just because.
And I mean, he's got heat with a few guys that are in that match. Him and Seth
Mm-hmm.
Rollins do not get along. Him and Cody Rhodes do not get along. It's
And
enough that Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes do not get along in real life. They're not fans of
and see,
each other.
I didn't know that until
Yeah,
you pointed that out.
they used that to kind of intensify their feud when they had that feud when Cody first got there. But they were both professional. Nobody took any liberties or anything,
Right.
but they just don't care for each other. They're professional enough to work matches against each other, work a match with each other, whatever. But personally, they just don't care for each other.
Um, yeah, with CM Punk, I mean, I know a lot of people say, well, you don't know the entire story. From what we've seen, and CM Punk doesn't deny it, I mean, he's had friction with leadership no matter where he goes.
Yeah, because if you don't give CM Punk his way, then he causes problems.
Yep.
You know,
And
and I'm not discounting the medical issues when he said he had some medical stuff that the WWE's doctors misdiagnosed or whatever. Um, Back in 2014 when he left the company the day after the Rumble because the WWE doctors have misdiagnosed an injury before and it cost Mr. Kennedy his Money in the Bank opportunity
it's
because
true.
they said it was a torn bicep when in reality it was a hematoma that could have healed itself in about 4 to 6 weeks. But they said it was a torn bicep that was going to require surgery, so they had to hurry up and get the briefcase off of him so he could be out and have surgery. And he didn't was misdiagnosed and didn't need it.
Mm-mm.
Um, so that aside, CM Punk was still, lack of a better term, he was still pissy that he never got the main event of WrestleMania. Did he have a valid argument of why he should be in the main event? Yeah, he did. The match that he had WrestleMania 29 against the Undertaker, that should have been the main event.
But instead, they
That
threw it to The Rock and Cena, right?
they gave it to Rock and Cena.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people can't say, "Oh, well, the world title should go on last," because it didn't. Because the Rock and Cena's first match was not about the title. Neither man had the title. So, but here's the thing: the only match that I will ever go back and watch from that entire 4 hour show is the Undertaker and CM Punk. It was the Undertaker's. It was one of the CM Punk's best matches he's ever had in WWE, and it was the last great Undertaker match.
Yeah, because next year at 30, that match was
Yeah,
horrible. And
that match was horrible, and everything just kept going downhill after that.
I mean, granted, he got concussed pretty early on,
Yeah, he did get
but still,
concussed, but then the next year he beat Bray Wyatt, which was unnecessary because that should have been the passing of the torch.
that should have been. I wish Bray Wyatt, but they would have had him in the streak instead of
Mm-hmm. Instead of Brock. Yeah,
Brock.
they're.
So,
I get their argument. Their argument was that they needed somebody to break the streak that could handle the heat that it was going to cause. Brock was the perfect person for that because Brock didn't care. Brock didn't care if he got booed or cheered. He went in, he did his job, he got paid, he went home. He's the only person that because they're like you could have made a young guy's career. Nope, that would have destroyed their career because all they would have ever been known for is, oh, you're the guy who broke the Undertaker streak.
oh, well, I'm looking forward to watching all this, especially that last one, because that one, there's so many intriguing things going on there.
Oh yeah,
Um,
there's so much going on. There's so many converging storylines that there's literally 4 or 5 possibilities of what could happen in this match, of what could play out.
I could see this. All right. The team Discovery Channel, I don't know, the team Babyface, whatever. Stole that from The Simpsons, I'll admit it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
I remember that one.
Team Discovery Channel. I'll say they're going to walk out with the win because of something that happened. Damian Priest, same thing though with Bailey. So it kind of
Uh-huh.
depends on what happens in the women's match. That's
Yeah,
going to,
whether they replicate the same thing in the men's. Yeah,
right, because WWE, they are really good about they're not going to pull a major thing twice on the same card.
Yeah. It's like if we give you the shocking moment over here, we're not going to do it again 2 hours later.
Right. That's old school booking right there.
Yeah.
That's something I've actually learned talking to some people in the NWF because I've actually asked some of them about different things going on, like storyline wise, because I'm like, once you pull the trigger on that now, and they say because Roger talked to us about it, they don't want to see it happening twice in the same night.
Well, no, because then it waters it down.
Right.
It takes away all the impact from from it happening the first time if you go ahead and just duplicate it a couple of matches down the card.
Right. And but I think this one, um, I can see Randy Orton. Well, yeah, I mean, giving Cody Rhodes an RKO and they go at it at the next pay per view.
Yeah, because Cody needs something. Cody needs something until he gets back on that path to get to Roman at WrestleMania.
Exactly. But I can see Randy Orton giving an RKO to Seth Rollins, and then looking at Damian Priest going, "Here you go."
Oh, that'd be great. I think Randy Orton is going to RKO everyone in this match at some point.
Oh, they're going to have that. It's going to be
Yeah.
RKO. He's going to jump up. Next RKO. Next
Yeah.
RKO. Oddly enough, the oddball out on this one is Jey Uso. He's kind of the odd man out on his
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
And I think partially because we associate him with Jimmy, his twin brothers.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah.
So it does seem like he's the odd man out. Of course, we already know Roman's not on this card.
Yep.
Which means that title is not in any danger of him losing it. I mean, he only defends it like once every 2 or 3 months anyway. But
yeah, and there's not a December pay-per-view unless they create one. But last year, I remember there was Survivor Series, and then there was literally eight weeks until the Rumble, which is perfect because you need that time to build to. Okay, that is the start of the road to WrestleMania. You need that time to build all your stories to get to the Rumble so that all that starts. So I think it's is perfectly fine not to have a pay-per-view in December.
Right. Because it used to be back in the day, I mean, the pay-per-views were like every 2 to 3 months, not every month.
Yeah, exactly. And like they just had Crown Jewel, and then 3 weeks later, it'll be Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like give a little breather and let your storylines cook a little bit.
And it is perfect timing for this to be the Saturday right after Thanksgiving, which also means I'm going to be watching it probably a little bit late because our town is having their Christmas parade that day. They always do it the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So, and my nephew, he's actually in the high school marching band, even though he's only in 8th grade, but he's in the high school marching band. Yeah, he's really good at the saxophone. So I'll probably be watching that and then come back and of course watch this. That is one nice thing about it being on, Peacock on the network. Is so you don't have to watch it live. You can actually catch it. Now, I will say this because it was one of the other pay-per-views that I caught it, and the pay-per-view was still going on, but I was about an hour or two behind. And I was trying to catch up. When the pay-per-view actually ended, all of a sudden my feed ended too.
Yeah, it just stops because
it just stops. And it won't. And they won't go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's why if I can't watch it, if I can't start it at the beginning and watch it live, I'll just wait for the replay.
Yeah, and I may end up doing that because the last time, and I had to wait because they're not going to repost it until they go back and they edit out anything that might need to be edited for whatever variety of reasons. It could be a copyright issue because like the one where when they were in Australia the last time when Elias had his guitar and he started playing Thunderstruck. Well, that's fine for live, but if they wanted the replay, they had to cut that out because of copyright issues. They'd have to pay AC/DC, for the rights to Thunderstruck. And so hopefully it just kind of depends on what time I get back that night. Because the
I
parade starts at like 5:30, but we'll have to
yeah.
see.
What I usually do with a Saturday pay-per-view is I watch it the next morning because then the replay's up. By the time I get up the next morning, the replay's up, and then I just watch it then. That way, if I need to pause it and go do something around the house, I can. If I got to go somewhere, a lot of times if it's quick, I'll just leave it paused, go run my errand, come back, restart it.
Well, sometimes I mean I do like to watch them Saturday nights because then that way I can talk to Randy at church about about
Well,
it.
yeah, that
You
makes
know,
sense.
so but I mean, there has been a lot of times though I've had to catch it like the next afternoon,
Hmm.
on the Sunday afternoon. But uh, yeah, I mean, it's shaping. I mean, I think it'll be a good card. I mean, it's one of their big five, so you would hopefully it
Hmm.
would be, you know, hopefully meet the standards. And the one I don't want to call it throwaway match because it is kind of a buffer match is the Carlito and Santos Escobar. Uh,
Yeah.
but I mean, I think that'll be a brutal match, which is good. It's a grudge match, so it should be brutal.
Yeah, I think it's going to serve its purpose as far as, like I said, solidifying Escobar's heel turn. But if there's a match that I would have to pick that would be the quote, and I hate to say it like this, but the quote unquote weakest match on the card,
Right.
that's the one. In the grand scheme, that's the one with the least amount of stakes.
And if you look at the two
Yes,
guys in it, it's not going to be a weak match, but
no,
just compared to the other four,
yeah, because this is not Escobar versus Ray. We're building to that.
mm-hmm.
This is just the first stop on that road. So, it'll be a good match. I'm sure I will enjoy it, but it's at the bottom of the importance because it has the least amount of stakes
Right.
attached to it.
There's no title.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a grudge match.
Yeah.
So, oh, but either way, this is going to be the capping off the end of a very busy Thanksgiving week.
Yep.
And the wrestling for me started this past Friday, like I said, in Georgetown, where I got to meet Jimmy Hart again, and I got his megaphone, and I got this shirt from the veteran Jack Vaughn. Also got to talk to Lord Crew, and because he was there. Also, Pennsylvania Smith, who's another NWF guy. Actually talking to him about him coming on the show at some point. Talked to Nurse Mika about her coming on the show, and because she's not actually part of the NWF, she's part of a group out of West Virginia.
Okay.
And when you hear her talk, you can go, "Oh yeah, that's West Virginia." She has a really, really distinguishable accent. I mean, she it's like, "Oh yeah, you're from West Virginia." She's like, "Yep." So, um, but with it being Thanksgiving, and this is kind of going away from wrestling a little bit. Thanksgiving is a time, for us to be spending with our families. Hopefully, everybody, if you're with your family, I do know a lot of people who can't be with their families because different reasons. People in the
Yeah.
military.
Yeah.
But it starts off a time where it's just, there's a song. It's the most wonderful time of the year. With it being all the holidays when you have Christmas, you have Hanukkah, you have a lot of holidays going on. But at the same time, this is the most stressful time of the year for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So because I mean, you're okay, you're buying gifts for everybody. Okay, then you're having to watch how much you're spending, and then and of course bills
Hmm.
still have to be paid, and
Yeah.
um, and people are doing traveling, and people are trying to get their vacations done at their jobs. We don't have that issue right now,
Right.
but
Not right now.
not right now. But it's like for us, I mean, we're still both looking for work. I mean, I mean, we're getting by. I mean, we're getting our bills paid,
Yeah.
um, but I had somebody reach out to me and they said that they are very glad that we actually are very open on our show about mental health.
Hmm.
And we always have been, because Dwayne talked last week about, talking to a therapist, and I've been going to a therapist for years. Even when I was still in uniform, that's when I started talking to therapists. But so, I mean, I just want to kind of let everybody know, um, encourage everyone, if you are having issues with mental health, let somebody know.
Yeah.
Don't hold it in. I mean, there's no shame in it. Um,
Excuse me.
because guess what? I mean, if you have a brain and you think, then you're going to have at some point in your life, you're probably going to have some kind of mental health crisis, or just or just something going on with your mental health where you just got to take a break. So we highly encourage everybody, if you can, always reach out. If you want to email one of us or both of us, so you can email the show, armchairbookingpodcast at gmail.com. You can also email Dwaylon, the intellectual rockstar podcast at Gmail.
Yep.
Yep, at gmail.com. You can email my other show, cubicle chat podcast at gmail.com. You can hit us up on any of the social medias. You can, just let us know if you ever need to talk to somebody. Just if you need,
exactly,
just let us know. Let somebody know if you need to reach out to me and Dwaylon and do it. So,
yeah. And this time of year, it's like, don't stress yourself out. Do the best you can, especially with your kids at Christmas time with gifts and things like that. Don't go into debt. Don't, skip bills to do this. Just do the best that you're capable of doing, because your kids are going to appreciate the effort more than the price tag. So just do the best you can, and that's what you can do. And don't be hard on yourself because you couldn't afford the latest greatest thing. And it's like with my kids, there's nothing that they're really wanting, because they're both my teenagers are like, well, we've got everything that we want. They're having hard times thinking of what they want for Christmas, other than like just practical everyday things. But like big huge gifts, there's not anything that they want, because they're like, we have it already, and there's nothing we really need.
I have a roof, I have clothes, I have food, we have electricity, we have water.
Yep.
That's what we really need. And like Dwaylon said, don't put yourself in debt. Don't skip bills.
Yeah.
To pay for gifts that maybe you can wait.
Yeah, maybe you can wait, and a lot of times, and everybody knows this, has got kids. A lot of times they'll ask for these big gifts, and we'll bend over backwards to get them, and then they'll use it a few times, and then it just sits on the shelf or sits in a drawer or whatever. And it's like, just don't do that to yourself. It just causes, a lot of anguish on your part. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, just enjoy that time with your family.
Yep. Because I can tell you, one of the Christmases when I was a teenager, I think I got 2 gifts from my mom and stepdad. Money was real tight. But this was, I think, Christmas of either 89 or 90. But Batman on VHS had just come out. So it may have been the 89, because, Batman, the movie, it come out in the summer of 89 in the theater. So Christmas of 89, they may have gotten it on VHS. Yeah, for those who don't know what a VHS is, well, we're old.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But they get Batman on VHS. I'm like, one of the thing, and you know what? I was happy because I had Batman on VHS. And I say Batman, and Dwaylon's ears all of a sudden perk up like he's a bat.
Yep.
So, by the way, if you have not listened to the Intellectual Rockstar, when you talk about, I'll just call him Mechanical Batman. What was the actual name of it?
The Murder Machine.
The Murder Machine. Yeah. Go check out the Intellectual Rockstar podcast, and you can find out about the Murder Machine. I'm learning stuff about Batman every day. Batman mixed with Cyborg. That's good stuff. But at the end of the day, we just want to, since we're wrapping this up, I want to go ahead and wish everybody, happy Thanksgiving. Even if you're not in America, happy Thanksgiving anyway. Go spend some time with your family, because that's what it's really all about.
Yep.
And like I said, if you ever need anything from me or Dwaylon, hit us up, socials, emails. If you have our phone number, that's one thing I'm not going to pass out on the air. Here's our phone number.
Right.
But if you have our phone numbers, I mean, because there are some who do, hit us up there if you need to. But, we just want everybody to be safe, and we want everybody, if you ever need help, reach out and get it. There's no shame.
Yep. Absolutely.
But happy Thanksgiving. See ya. Good day. Good night. God bless.
God bless.